Most people can drive, but that doesn't mean that they understand everything about cars. And once a myth is spread, it can spread like wildfire. You know, ones like your friend that thinks their small car has a V4 engine, or the Skyline R34 GTR wasn't imported to the USA because it was just too fast and too furious, or never ever 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 buy a first year car because they always have problems. Wait, that one is true. Head gasket. Anyhow, I put together 5 car myths and an honorable mention that most people still think are true. And you'll want to stick around till the end because the last one on this list can be deadly if you think it's true. Let's go. Speaking of let's go check out our best-selling Let's Go Ideal Tee and snag one before we run out because they're so soft and comfy. I must admit, red on a sports car looks fantastic. Just look at Jack Ultramotive's R8, which, by the way, I recently interviewed him about his car, so you might want to go check that out. But here's the thing, the color has nothing to do with how much you pay for insurance premiums. So a red car won't cost you any more than a black, silver, or pink car. But it's what you do in the red car that can increase your premiums quite a bit. The origin of this myth is hard to pinpoint, but some argue it's because red cars are just more likely to be ticketed because of their arresting color. Red cars are definitely more noticeable to both casual observers and the Popo 5.0. Ultimately, if your favorite color is red, buy your red ideal car using the strategies, and just know that your rates won't go up. I've had more friends pulled over for this than anything else. We've all seen it. A car driving down the highway at night without its lights on. Why? Because inside their gauge cluster lights are on, so that they just assume that their headlights are on as well. When in fact, it's just their daylight running lights that barely light up the road in front of them. And you know what's even worse is that when you run your daylight running lights, run your daylight running lights, wow, that's a lot of runs. I'm running. A lot of the time it doesn't turn on the rear lights. So from my favorite end, the rear, it's a black hole. Okay, honestly, I believe that there has to be some sort of mandatory light on the dash from every manufacturer that shows whether your headlights and taillights are on or off. Otherwise, I just think this is gonna keep happening, and that's no bueno. When you're selling a car, one of the first things a potential buyer is gonna ask you is, how many miles are on that car? See, you could be selling a car that has 100,000 miles that did most of its time like this, or you could have a car that did 100,000 miles doing mostly this. Which one would you rather choose? Yeah, it's the type of miles. And cars are built so well today that at 100,000 miles, a lot of them are just being broken in. See, back in the 60s or 70s though, it was hard to get a car past the 100,000 mark. They just tended to wear out quicker. Nowadays, specifically with fuel injection instead of carburetors, cars will make it to the 250,000 mile mark and beyond. Of course, as long as it's not a rotary engine. Haha, so that leads us to our ideal question of the day, which is, what is the highest mileage car that you've either driven or been in? Now, let us know down in the comments. The one that has the highest mileage, I'm gonna pin. I would bet my last dollar that someone's told you to change your mile every 3,000 miles. And it's a myth that's been handed down for decades. Here's the problem. Quick lube chain stores say every 3,000 miles. Manufacturers recommend between 5,000 and 7,500 miles. And synthetic oil companies say around 10,000 mile intervals. But which one should you believe? Well, the answer is none of the above. Now, I'm not gonna get into specifics, but oil changes are more dependent on the driving style and patterns than anything else. If you let the car properly warm up every time to let the hot oil burn off the moisture condensation, and you're using premium synthetic oil, 10,000 miles between changes is definitely doable. Now, if you drive your car like my boy Zwing, and you're sideways pretty much the whole way to the grocery store, yeah, I think you gotta do them pretty regularly and replace the tires while you're at it. Which brings us to that time of the day, the honorable mention, baby. Guys, straight up, buying a Prius won't save the planet. The hybrid car has been touted as the green savior of the auto industry, and people buy a Prius to lower their carbon footprint and save money on gas, not style and speed. Although this Prius begs to differ. Get some, let's go! But here's the thing, manufacturing a hybrid car requires more energy to produce than a gas car, specifically the hybrid batteries. So buying a Prius to save the planet is kinda, sorta, really just an oxymoron. Okay, I told you at the beginning of this video that if you attempted the last myth on this list, it could end up deadly. And that myth is that the speedo indicates the top speed of the car. If you were to attempt 500 kilometers or 300 miles per hour because this Bugatti Chiron Speedo says you can, oh, wait, didn't they just do that? Well, another example is this Subaru BRZ that has a top speed on the Speedo of 160 miles per hour, which could prove extremely dangerous. Yeah, just because it looks fast doesn't mean it is fast. Kind of like these 5 cars that are all show and no go. Or check out what YouTube recommends you watch next. Oh, and if you haven't yet, please subscribe, but either way, you can't lose, and as always, keep living that ideal lifestyle.